Rolling up in blacked out cars, talking like they own the stars. Smiling for the camera flash, hands in your pocket, counting cash. Trust us this time, they'll stay. Same old trick in a brand new script. Waving papers, selling hope. Fine print line is a velvet rope. Blue suits, black hearts, saying we feel your pain from the country club bar. Big speech, fake tears. Every 4 years they remember we're here. The same in the world on a t-shirt sign while they're sipping that vintage red on your dime. Blue suits, black hearts. They love the power more than the people they mark.
Hey, welcome to California Free Radio. We've got a special show for you tonight because we're going to cover Donald Trump and his address starting at 6 o'clock. You want to introduce him, Mr. Kurt?
We're not live on Facebook.
Yeah, we're here at California Free Radio. We're live on a number of channels, including @Netter Mike on X. And Scott, what's your channel?
At TaxFighter7 on X.
And on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on a number of platforms. So President Trump is expected to talk about election irregularities, among other things. And Scott, there's a little good news. Apparently, there's a little more optimism on the potential to pass the SAVE Act in the Senate. So
Which should be,
he'll talk about that.
Yeah, as you said, that's huge news. I mean, we need this. As we saw in the LA mayor's race, it's a joke, right? And election cheating is now an industry, and if we're going to have fair and free elections, we got to do something about it. SAVE Act is the solution. Voter ID. So for those of you that are on the chat, tell us whether you hear an echo, because we're hearing echoes. So tell us what's on the Trump Act, what's on the SAVE Act. What are the things that he's trying to save? I know that
voter ID, proof of U.S. citizenship to vote. There's also going to have paper ballots, same-day voting. A number of voter integrity items. And Elizabeth Slotkin, the former CIA agent who's a Michigan Democrat senator, said that Democrats can't win elections if the SAVE Act passes. So what she just admitted is Democrats can only win elections when there's cheating.
Well, duh. Nobody likes the Democrats. They can only win by cheating.
Well, then you have the Democrat Socialists of America. You see that platform that came out over the last couple of days?
There's great echoes. I think it's going from one computer to the other computer to the other computer. I'm going to remove our stream just to see if that does anything. All right, how's that? You got any better echoes?
No echoes on you from you or me. Whatever we just did, it's not echoing now.
Yeah, that's our streaming. So we'll have to see if we're going to be effective in doing that stream. It says they will begin shortly.
Sounds good now. Looks like we're not echoing. That's our stream.
Well, Mike's got some echoing going, along with bouncing on and bouncing off. He's doing that Michael Jackson kind of dance.
Going backwards.
and sporadic. We only see him every 2 seconds. All right, so we're going to have our buddy. So Trump, what will you speak on tonight, Trump?
Well, Scott, we may have to mute our mics during the speech then. Worst case
I
scenario.
suspect you're right. All right, so I've got the share screen going.
All right, no echo now. Oh, a little bit of an echo.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And Mike, is going to be short for words, which will be a first for him. No one ever accused Mike. All right, do we have sound yet?
To do the show in mine.
So, can you guys hear him?
No.
They're having.
So I'm going to mute and see if that helps with it.
Here we go.
Millions and millions of people pouring in from all over the world, including criminals of all types, and 11,888 murders, many of whom killed more than one person. We had transgender for everybody, men and women sports.
Turn it up,
crime
Scott.
ravaging our cities, and the whole world was laughing at us as a nation, but not anymore. 2 years ago, our country was dead. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. America is respected like we have never been respected before. We have more money being invested in the United States than at any time in the history of our country. More Americans are working today than ever before. This week it was announced that inflation saw the largest monthly decline in more than 6 years. Just happened. It was just given out. The media reported it, and we accept it. The best in 6 years. The tax cuts in our great, big, beautiful bill are saving hardworking families thousands and thousands of dollars, like with the provisions, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors, along with the interest deduction on a loan used to purchase a car, but only if that car is made in America, and a 100% expensing for our job-creating businesses. Our stock markets are at their highest point in many years, but we can actually say of all time. And your 401ks, pensions, and retirement accounts are setting records every single day, the highest in history. For years, we paid the highest price for prescription drugs anywhere in the world. Now we pay the lowest price under my most favored nation's policy, because I was able to get the rest of the world and the pharmaceutical companies to act responsibly. Drug prices are coming down by 70, 80, and 90%. TrumpRx.gov, this will ultimately reduce the cost of health care. You have to go to TrumpRx.gov and take advantage of it. But the cost of health care is coming way down because of what we've done with prescription drugs. And with Trump accounts, every child in America now has access to a tax-free investment account to save for their future. Billions and billions of dollars are being invested, put in by companies and individuals to take care of our children so that at age 18, they will have potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in their account, and they'll get off to a great start in life. So for that, go to TrumpAccounts.gov and sign up your child or any child who'd like to sign up. Our previously wide open borders have been transformed into the most secure borders in the history of our country, with 0 illegal aliens being admitted to the United States in the past 14 months. That is 0. Nobody thought it was possible. We had the worst border in the history of our country, and now we have the best. Crime is plummeting nationwide, with the murder rate at its lowest level since 1900, or more than 125 years ago. We're making a record investment in our armed forces, and we have the strongest and most powerful military by far anywhere in the world. I built it during my first term, And unfortunately, we're forced to use it now. We won in Venezuela, which is now working with us to produce millions and millions of barrels of oil. We are likewise winning big in Iran, and you will see the fruits of that labor very, very shortly. America is back and doing really well, but we still have a major challenge that must be urgently addressed, because no country can be great without fair and honest elections. You have to trust your country, because if there can be no trust, there can be no greatness. And that's very simple. No trust, no greatness. For many years, I've called for bold, swift, and decisive action to protect the integrity of America's elections. Every American deserves to know that when they cast their vote, that vote will be counted accurately in a system, and that is to make that system secure, one where cheating and interference are not just difficult, but virtually impossible. Unfortunately, the system we have today falls catastrophically short of that standard. Tonight, I'm announcing the immediate declassification and release of critical intelligence revealing shocking vulnerabilities in our election infrastructure. This evidence shows that the election system we have dangerously exposes, and really exposes like levels never thought possible, to hacking, exploitation, and foreign interference. Just as disturbingly, this vital information has for many years been covered up and hidden from you, the American people, our beautiful, our great American people. But that all changes right now. The documents we will release starting tonight have been gathered by the White House Government Transparency Task Force, a great group of people, along with the staff of the President's Intelligence Advisory Board, supported by our top intelligence agency chiefs, who have all personally reviewed the findings. We are presenting this evening and fully confirmed their authenticity. You can see these documents for yourself at whitehouse.gov. That's whitehouse.gov. Go check it out. Our purpose in disclosing this information is not to weaken confidence in election, but to earn that confidence by confronting vulnerabilities and correcting them very, very quickly, and that's what we're doing. The documents cover 5 major areas of concern. First, they show that over a period of years, starting during the 2020 election cycle, the People's Republic of China carried out what is believed to be the largest compromise of election data in history, resulting in China's illicit acquisition of 220 million U.S. voter files. That information includes names, addresses, phone numbers, political party preferences, and other sensitive data that would be needed to register to vote and engage in other nefarious activities, which is exactly what was happening. This data loss presents an unprecedented election security nightmare. The intelligence even shows that China assigned a data exploitation unit specifically to this new project. Compounding the travesty, the second set of documents we are releasing reveals that members of the deep state, very, very famous group of people, in many cases, in our intelligence agency work to actively suppress and downplay information about the extent of China's sinister election meddling, covering it up from both the president and the American people like nobody thought was possible. U.S. spy agencies began learning about the compromise of voter registration files in 2020 when they discovered that tens of millions of voter data, think of that, tens of millions of voters' data in 18 states have been bought, stolen, or hacked by China. Yet those responsible for sounding the alarm instead kept the information secret and hidden. They did not disclose to me as president or to anyone else, and to the best of our knowledge, they did not inform Congress. In fact, all they kept saying is, this is the most secure election in the history of our country. a standard, very pat line that was divvied out to say the cover-up of this colossal security breach is even more disturbing in light of the additional information showing that China engaged in other election-related activities to undermine my first administration and our 2020 campaign. They did not want, and they just didn't want it. They fought like hell not to have it, Donald Trump, to win, and for good reason. As the documents we are releasing show, CIA reporting explicitly stated, and I quote, in mid-2018, the Chinese Communist Party's policy was to leverage all domestic and foreign elements that were opposed to the U.S. president in an effort to reduce the U.S. president's votes and make him resign or prevent his re-election. Isn't that nice? Also, in mid-2018, China was working to influence the results of the U.S. midterm elections and later the results of the 2020 presidential election itself. Separately, in mid-2019, the Chinese government's strategy against the United States was focused on undermining domestic confidence in the U.S. president. They wanted to just make you sound like your president wasn't so hot, when actually your president has done a great job, and they did everything possible to do exactly that. Going on, this document says, and this is by the CIA, the strategy included efforts to use Chinese contacts with big U.S. companies to influence U.S. business leaders to turn against the President of the United States of America. The Chinese government sought to identify U.S. journalists who had reported negatively on the U.S. president and pay them large sums of money to write more negative articles about him, as many as they could, and they didn't care what they said. The Chinese government wanted U.S. president to lose the next election, and the reason they wanted me to lose is because they knew I was wise to them, charged them billions and billions of dollars worth of tariffs, and built the strongest military anywhere in the world. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world. These are exact quotes from the CIA reporting. The name of the person doing the quote is now under review, but it gets even worse. Raw intelligence obtained by the FBI in 2020, yet buried by rogue bureaucrats, stated that China's activities even included an attempt to manufacture illegal ballots for Joe Biden. Documents show that during this period, dozens of significant CIA and NSA reports about China's election targeting were kept out of the presidential briefing. These were briefings I would get almost every day. Everything was kept out that was of importance. One email among intelligence analysts admitted that they had, quote, deliberately massaged the presidential daily briefing to withhold information regarding Chinese activities related to the election. Another official inside the FBI wrote that she was running, quote, a shadow government, unquote, to keep intelligence about China's election meddling from becoming known and to keep it away from the honorable press. Other officials who witnessed such efforts perceived the motivations to be blatantly political. Recently, we found significant numbers of burn bags in formation, and this is a group of bags that were used to destroy information given by President Barack Hussein Obama to be burned. It was supposed to be burned. These bags were supposed to be at a different level by different people, incinerated and checked, but it never happened. Maybe we got lucky. We believe this was not done on purpose, but rather through gross incompetence of the people that were supposed to burn the bags. But the findings are stunning. Today, I'm asking the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the CIA to investigate how and why such crucial information was hidden, to fire those involved in the cover-up, and to file criminal charges, if appropriate, against these people. Yet concealing China's meddling was only the beginning. The third set of documents we are releasing proves that for many years, Americans were blatantly lied to about the security of our election infrastructure, including electronic voting machines and ballot counting systems, dishonest, almost all. They're vulnerable and they're easily compromised, and people within our government knew that. Tonight, we're publishing a series of previously classified U.S. intelligence community assessments and other reports proving that our government has long known these machines are extremely exposed to attack. As one assessment states, we judge that the United States adversaries, including at a minimum Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, as well as non-state groups, have the capability to compromise U.S. election infrastructure. That's unquote, but that's some statement, isn't it, made by supposedly great patriots of our country. The document goes on to further state that, quote, we assess that centralized election-related data repositories, such as voter registration databases, poll books, and other official election websites, are most vulnerable to exploitation, and adversaries could use this access to these systems to disrupt election processes within the United States of America. Tonight, we're releasing all of those findings, and spanning from January 2020 to June 2026. This is a cyber threat aimed at the very heart of our democracy. Many people have questioned whether it could actually be possible to electronically manipulate vote totals or change election results on these terrible machines. Today, we are releasing documents that show the CIA obtained reporting of a specific plot to do a big number in favor of the corrupt Maduro regime in Venezuela, and that's exactly what happened, conspiring to digitally rig their own country's elections in 2020, and that's what they did. This reporting included precise details about methods to regime develop to digitally alter vote totals in ways that could not be detected even with an audit, no matter how deep they went. This intelligence underscores why we must take urgent action to ensure that our own system can never, ever be hacked or compromised like it was in the past. The fourth set of documents reveals that even when significant evidence of fraud has been detected, it has been buried and covered up. Among the disclosures tonight are FBI files detailing evidence of alleged fraud by a large-scale voter registration operation in Michigan. In 2020, Michigan State Police raided a Democrat Get Out the Vote organization, corrupt group in Muskegon. And we're so concerned by what they found. They were just so concerned, they couldn't believe it, actually, that they contacted the FBI in Detroit. The documents state that some canvassers admitted to FBI agents that they signed voter registration forms in other people's names, submitted fraudulent registration for people who did not exist, and received gift cards tied to their number of applications that they produced. In other words, it was pay, play, and cheat. The FBI agents working on the case believe that crimes were committed, yet the Biden Department of Justice slow-walked the investigation and killed it. Tonight, I'm asking the FBI director to ensure that the matter is fully investigated and to work with the Department of Justice to prosecute those responsible for any crimes. Finally, to reveal just how vulnerable our elections continue to be, we are releasing the results of a stunning investigation by the Department of Homeland Security. According to the DHS review of state voter rolls and public records, they identified approximately 278,000 non-citizens who are registered to vote in federal elections. Since Democrat states refuse to share their voter files, the real number is actually much higher than that. Yet, even this limited analysis found more than 250,000 foreigners illegally registered to vote. Put together, these disclosures reveal an election system so broken and so vulnerable that no one can possibly defend it. It is not defensible. Hundreds of millions of U.S. voter files are in the hands of foreign governments. Our machines and ballot counting systems are exposed to hacking and manipulation and corruption. China and other countries have been trying to meddle in our elections. Evidence of fraud has been buried. Hundreds of thousands of non-citizens and dead people are listed and active on the voter rolls, and yet we still have elections with no voter ID, no proof of citizenship, and tens of millions of ballots floating aimlessly through the mail. As one example of the insanity, California's recent election for mayor of LA and governor was held on June 2nd, a long time ago, but it was just completed a few days ago on July 10th. Think of that, much more than 1 month. Took a month to count the votes. I wonder what they were doing. This is worse than any third world country. There's no third world country that has elections like we have. In a rare move, NBC and ABC Fake News have both said that they would not cover this speech. They knew what it was about because of the fact that they don't like the topic, because they know how corrupt our system is and they don't want to reveal it. They and others in the media are part of a plot. They want to continue this fraud for whatever reason. They want to keep it going. They want to protect the radical left. They can't have a great country, and that's true. You can't have a great country without free and fair elections. Fraud like this should mean a revocation of their licenses. They use our public multi-billion-dollar in value airways for absolutely no money. They pay nothing. All we want is honesty in our elections and honesty in reporting. They pay nothing for multi-billion-dollar assets. Great damage has been done to our country. Our elections were left vulnerable to being rigged and stolen, and the trust of the American people was lost. This cannot be allowed to continue. Every American, whether you're a Republican, Democrat, Independent, or otherwise, should be able to agree that we deserve the most secure, honest, and fair election system anywhere in the world. Secure elections should be a partisan, really, we should be together, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, everybody, and it should not be a partisan issue. It should cause to unite us, not to divide us. This should be a cause. We should be united, not divided. In light of the brand new and irrefutable information I have revealed tonight, my administration is in the process of notifying the states whose election data was compromised by the People's Republic of China and many others. We will be working closely to mitigate any harm, and we're taking swift action to ensure that sensitive voter data is better protected so we can never be bought, we can never be hacked, and we can never watch a stolen election again. Tomorrow, the Secretary of Homeland Security will hold a briefing to outline his department's recent work confirming cyber vulnerabilities in our electronic voting systems. They are bad. We're in the process of informing governors, senators, and members of Congress of potential issues in their states. If you look at voting today, it's in such bad shape in so many states, and we are committing to fix it. And we're also committing to be working with those states and local jurisdictions to help them fix and patch known technical vulnerabilities before the midterm elections. We have very important elections coming up. We want those elections to be honest. I've also ordered DHS to notify every state about non-citizens on their voter rolls and direct them to remove all ineligible voters from the lists immediately. But most importantly, addressing this crisis of election security demands that Congress must pass the Save America Act. How easy is that to do unless you want to cheat? The only reason you wouldn't do it is you want to cheat because your policies are so bad and your candidates are so pathetic that you can't get away or can't get elected any other way. This landmark bill requires that all voters must show photo, voter ID. How simple is that? Could I have your photo, please? Photo, voter ID. All voters must provide proof of citizenship. Are you a citizen of our country, please? And hopefully there will be no corrupt mail-in ballots, which if you watched California and so many other places, mail-in ballots are inherently corrupt. So you would have no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military deployment, or travel if you're going away on business or vacation. These reforms are urgently needed to stop the vulnerabilities that I've mentioned. To all Americans, I ask you to pick up your phone tomorrow, call your representatives in the House and Senate, and demand that they pass the Save America Act without delay. Together we will restore faith and confidence in our country, and we will be bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. Thank you. God bless you. God bless our great military. And God bless America. Thank you very much.
Well, that was short and sweet for Trump.
Yeah, it was only about 20 minutes or so. But the big takeaway, Scott, was that he said that he's going to go after the licenses of the
Well, that was short and sweet for Trump.
that wouldn't air this.
Yeah, it was only about 20.
Topic.
Yeah, you got a nice echo going.
You too.
Hey, let me see if I can turn off this stream. See if that helps the echoing a little bit better.
Nope.
Mute your microphone for a minute there. All right, is it muted? Evidently not.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can't see you, though.
My camera's on.
You're invisible.
Take Newsom off the screen. I think you have his nose is blocking out my shot.
So, Kurt, did you mute your mic?
Is this better?
Mute it for a second. Let's see if the echo goes away. Yeah, give me a hand signal. Are you muted? Thumbs up.
I'm back.
So you were muted?
Yes.
All right, now you try it, Mike. Mute your
Can
mic.
you hear me?
Yes. Mute your mic for us so we can see if you're the echo source. All right, is your mic muted? No echo. It's Mikey's microphone.
Well, we got it. Okay.
Aha. So we don't see your face, and you got a microphone that's echoing on us. I know Mike moved to the kitchen because it's hot outside, and he thought the kitchen would be cooler. I guess in his house it's cooler. Maybe he doesn't cook enough there.
How does this?
How's this? Testing 1, 2, 3.
Better.
Yeah, we don't hear any echoes.
Yeah, it's the additional equipment somehow. Do you see me?
No.
Oh, I know why. Now try it.
You're a secret. Now we see you.
All
Now
right,
we
so
see
somehow
you.
my equipment's been hacked by the Chinese, just like our election.
Yeah, but the
So
Democrats don't seem concerned about it. But I like the fact that Trump says he's going to go after the licenses of the over-the-air broadcast networks that would not broadcast this topic. Seems to me like they're put their finger on the scale of elections, and they don't want points of view to be expressed that they don't agree with.
I think
Not sure
what
well,
that's in
Trump
the
was
public's
duh.
interest.
So are you saying that mainstream or legacy media, as I like to refer to it, did not cover the Trump broadcast because of that?
Yes, some of them wouldn't cover the broadcast.
So they have to tune to California Free Radio to hear the true insights, to get their editorial comment via pictures during the speech.
Well, what that tells us is there's no value in the legacy media. They're just
Yeah, well,
propagandists that are
that's kind of
providing
obvious.
unreported campaign contributions to Democrats.
So, just ask Spencer Pratt about voter fraud. He's brought up a good point if you've been following his posts since his election loss. So Nithra Yaman, ramen noodle, she concedes on election night. She's crying. She's distressed. And then all of a sudden she gets like 53% of the votes counted after election day when she only got like 18% before that. And Spencer Pratt's looking at it and going, what's wrong with this picture? And he sees that she's been gone. She hasn't campaigned once since the election, since the primary. Like, she did her job. She got second place. She bumped Spencer Pratt. And now she's going to run a zero campaign so that her buddy Karen Bass can get reelected. So it was all a manipulation and a scheme. They needed a name that they could take to Skid Row and fill out all the blank ballots and cheat. Who doesn't believe that Spencer Pratt got ripped off on that election? That the people of LA got ripped off in that election?
Obvious.
So as I understand it, the Save America Act has got a lot of things that are part of it, but two of the crucial things are voter ID and no absentees being able to be counted after election day.
Paper ballots, same day voting.
Can I interject for 1 second? Can you guys hear me? Everything's out of here. Can you guys hear me?
Go for it, dude.
Okay, the
Yes.
biggest thing Trump said tonight, which we've been talking about for years, it's I'm going to paraphrase Stalin.
In California. That's because
in
California has
California,
made a business out of voter fraud.
Hold on. The fraud is in the registration. Trump went on about that, and we tend to, I know at the end he talked about mail-in ballots, etc., but let's be really clear. There's a very large number of people registered, okay, should not be registered. You could talk about 53% for ramen, you could talk about that. That is because they're collecting the votes of people that should not be registered. If you think about it, it's highly interesting at the beginning when he talked about how, and with the Democrats, even though I noticed I was looking at the Washington Post while my equipment was zapping in and out, where the Post talked about a little bit, well, the Democrats say that Trump is recycling old election claims, but the mainstream press earlier today was Trump's and the other. The press may change its tone, but let's get real with the core of the problem which Trump spent time on tonight. It's the registrations. Period. End of sentence. We don't know, especially California, and we've been talking about this for a very long time, and God bless the President of the United States for jumping in on this. Here's the reality, everybody. You can look at the vote stats. I've talked about it on this show. I've talked about it on other shows. I've talked about it over the air radio. It may know the number of registered voters in California has jumped literally by 5 to 7 million in the last 5 or 6 years. Why the number of voting has not gone up? Who actually are the people who are voting who should not be allowed to vote? And you could talk harvesting. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist, all pun intended, for those of you that know me and my family, to figure out that if Chinese or anybody that get these files, they can tell who legit voters are, and they can tell who the illegitimate voters are. And this is really what it comes to fair elections. Okay? And we can go round and round, beat around the issue. We could talk this, that, and the other. That is the reality, especially in California. What was the movie Dinesh D'Souza was on our show a couple months ago? 10,000 Mules. What was it called, gentlemen?
20,000 Mules, yes.
10,000 Mules.
Only-
And for those of the people that go, here's the reality of that movie, that film, is that however they were harvesting, dropping off ballots nationwide, when you talk about this isn't being an election denied, whatever, I get tired of hearing in about 4 to 5 states like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Georgia, we've shown if 20 to 30,000 votes swing, that swings the electoral vote. And if you're able to deposit votes because they're people that should not be voting, and that's really all that we're asking. Win in the courts, clean up the expletive deleted voter rolls. And Trump is president of the United States. Very short speech for Trump. I can shorten that even more. Clean up the voter rolls. Okay? It's pretty simple. Tonight, Harmeet Dillon, or was it tonight or last night, announced again they're going after the voters. That's the problem that we have. Courts rule a mail-in ballot, election day, etc., etc. We can go back and forth on that. But if we have people registered that are U.S.citizens that should have to re-register under current law because they have not voted in 2 subsequent elections, and they've been off the rolls. They're either dead, they're disinterested, or they're dead, or they're dead, or they've possibly joined another party, or they're dead. The reality is, did I get the dead part across? It only takes a small number of votes just clean up the voter rolls. And why is that so hard for the leftist portion of the Democratic Party to do? The SAVE Act, we have ID, will you bring a ballot, will you drop it off, will you have to show it? Look, this also involves cleaning up the voter rolls. And as much as you've heard, and I was say, trying to take the air out of the Democrats' argument against SAVE Act, let me say this again. What needs to be done?
Make your point.
I think, Mike, you're right that it starts with the voter rolls because theoretically you can't cast a fraudulent vote without having a voter, and you're basically saying that the voter rolls are filled with fraudulent voters. So that's their bread and butter, right? That's the basis or foundation for their voter fraud. But we saw Nick Shirley down there, interviewing and going down to Skid Row and watching these guys pay these people to register with fraudulent names and fraudulent signatures, and then go down and cast votes
Hold on,
with fraudulent names and fraudulent films.
I want to stop you right there because that's cleaning up the voter rolls. Okay, fraudulent names, fraudulent
I'm just telling you, not only are the voter rolls bad, but they're continually making them worse because they know they need bad voter rolls in order to start their voter fraud. I mean, look, LA County, of all of the people that live in LA, 80, you look at it, your rule of thumb, the number of people that are in LA, you take, let's call it 60% of that number, and they're your eligible people. In other words, they're over 18 and they're U.S. citizens, and so they're eligible to actually be on the voter roll. And they have, you take that number in LA, and the voter rolls have like 120 plus % of that number. So they have easily 20% more voters. And everybody knows that if you had a number, and I'm going to pick a number, 6 million eligible people to be on the voter rolls, that you're lucky to get 4 million registered. More likely it's 3.5 million, just a little over half. And so 3.5 million, but they have 8 million registered. So we know the voter rolls are full of crap, and they're not doing anything about it. And when the Justice Department asked the state of California for their voter rolls, the Secretary of State basically flipped them off, and the Attorney General is defending it in court, and they're refusing to give up their voter rolls because they want to cheat. It's
Simple solution, guys. No more federal money to California until they cough them up. Trump should
Zero.
Trump should just confiscate all the money, say you guys are engaging in a conspiracy to commit fraud, and they should just take everybody involved in withholding the voter rolls and throw them in jail. Say, see you in court.
I still don't understand the difference between these jerks that want to sit there and secede from the Union in the Civil War over the slavery issue, and yet you have Californians basically saying, hey, we're a sanctuary state. We choose not to obey those federal laws, and we're going to direct all of our law enforcement people to not obey those federal laws.
Well, hey, wait a minute, Scott. Whoa. If sanctuary works, then what if a bunch of states and cities and counties say, we're going to be a sanctuary, we're not going to enforce gun laws. We're going to be a tax sanctuary city. Nobody pays federal income tax that lives here. Either it's got to work for everybody or nobody.
Yeah, I think the Fed's out. I think the Fed. Now you'll never find a judge that'll back them up because the judges are a-holes. Okay, and they're not. I mean, face it. Congress passes a law saying give California these highway funds, and so then Trump sits there and goes, yeah, but they're not complying with these other rules, so we're going to stop sending them checks. Which any business or any normal person would say, hey, we're done doing business with you until you clean up your act in this important area. You're not going to be allowed to participate anywhere. But the judges go, no, not allowed to do that. Sorry.
Okay.
That's fine. Just say,
stop for a second.
I'm an independent branch, and this is what we're doing.
Hold on. Stay on
Okay,
topic,
Mike,
which
go
is
for it.
hard for us to do. Okay? I brought a friend on the line right now, Grok. And anybody out there, you can Google this, and I don't care if you have liberals, ask him this inherent question. And I asked Grok in the last, I've done this not a million times, but more than one. You can ask Grok, you can ask AI, you could go to Secretary of State files and look this up. Now, let me take a step and passionate soapbox for me. In the last 6 years, why did I pick the last 6 years? That's since the recall of Gavin Newsom, roughly mid-2020. The total number of registered voters, that means you're not a new registered voter. The total number of registered voters in California has grown 2.2 to 2.5 million. That's a 10 to 12% growth in registered voters. And they say, well, it's the motor voter law, it's online registration. Bull crap, 6 years. You had all that prior to 6 years ago. Got it? And in the last 6 years, I'm going to break my computer completely by yelling to it. California has grown by 2.2 to 2.5 million in registered voters. Who explicitly deleted are these people? Because our state has less people the last 6 years. Now,
So what has been the population loss, Mike?
you can look that up, but I could tell you the population loss in California has been about, let's just say conservatively, 2 million people. Okay? And that's people.
Okay, so wait a minute. Let's
That's
get these numbers straight. Numbers are hard. Numbers are hard on a show like this. So California's lost 2 million people, but gained 2 million registered voters. That doesn't pass the straight
Hold
face
on.
test.
There's a lot more. Again, let me make this really even for an intelligent guy like you, Kurt. Wait, that came out right. Okay? We have gained 2 to 2.5 million voters, and yes, lost about 2 million, okay, in population. You still there, Kurt? Can you still hear me? Okay?
Still there. That's
But I want you
5%
to
roughly of the
okay,
population.
hold on. We have grown, thanks to Joe Biden and Gavin Newsom, by about 3 to 4 million in illegal aliens in that time. I'm starting to put it all together. So when you say
There's a pretty strong
California
correlation,
has
isn't
lost,
there?
yeah, and when you say California's lost 2 million, that's probably a lot more because you remember the old battle about the census. That's we have to look up, and I'll try to even do that right now. Is how many
Right. So
legal citizens
I just
have we
asked
lost?
AI. I have to say, just asked AI. We from
By the way, we call
2010
AI
through
Al here
2020.
in the studio. So you asked Al. Go ahead.
I got Al. From 2010 to 2024, California's lost over 10 million people moving out of the state. Now, it's a net loss of about 1.3 million due to immigration. So you got illegal immigrants moving in, regular citizens moving out, and we gained we gained registered voters. Yeah.
2.5 million.
What's
Two and
wrong
a
with
half million. These aren't small numbers. And let's be really clear on that. And there is no way you can look at these numbers. It's not even close and say, who are these people? And by the way, wait, there's a lot more. Because what Trump said tonight, and he's the president giving a speech to the entire country, the Chinese have, let's assume they're pretty bright who did it, let's put all that down. The most reliable voters, gentlemen, are who? The older people, correct? Right? And the
Generally.
older people,
Yes.
no, they are, by far. They don't register to vote, guys. Okay? Older
Who are you
people,
calling old?
you ready for a shocker? Hold on. Ready for a shocker? There are very few people in Florida, Montana, Wyoming, Idaho. You know, dear, we're hitting retirement age. Our income is limited. Let's move to California. No, because they can't afford it,
Not happening. Yeah, not happening.
right? So,
Yeah,
these
we've got
2.5
limited income.
million-
Let's go to California.
Okay, no matter
Well, California
how
is
you
the most
look at it,
expensive
don't-
state in the union now to live.
hold on. So here's my point. Okay, we keep growing in voter registration as we lose population. This is what the DOJ wants to. This is what Trump is talking about. And the weird part is, everybody, okay, for all of you out there, it probably did cost Trump the 2020 election. It's going to be very unpopular. I don't too care about that. What I care about is my election for state senate coming up. I care about the governor election with Steve Hilton. I care about midterms where Trump is doing the right thing. And as you hear the Democrats, in the paper whining that Trump's not whining about 2020, he's looking forward to the midterms, not just for Congress, but for all of us. We to win my election. If the other team all season coming has 16 men on the field, and for those of you going, they're supposed to be 11.
Okay, I have another question for you. Trump spent a long time talking about Chinese hacking of the American voting system, whether that's the actual voting machines, the counting machines, the registrar of voters, whatever it is. China. He is alleging that
Right.
China has had a significant negative impact on our voting.
He was very clear on that, in my opinion. And this is where, sorry, conservatives, it's not the hacking of the machines. He was very clear. They got all the data, right? They got all the data.
Right.
Mike Netter, where he lives, he's a registered Republican. And by the way, just as we do, and I believe they even still have the advocates over there. Let's put that down, okay? They can easily compute and feed the Democratic Party. Scott, let's pick in your state assembly district, okay, that you ran. Let's pick a my state senate district, state senate 22. Look, you can go to every of these districts and precincts, say, to some X amount of new voters, and here's a list of who those voters probably are that you should register. Make sure that a Democrat wins the state senate in your district or the state assembly in your district. Got it, Scott?
I would agree.
That it's the
But
voter rolls.
what kind
Hold on.
of impact? What do they do?
Here's what they do. Let me make this really simple. Saying this for a very long time. We pick up the machine. Here's all you can do. Okay? So let's state Senate 22, which happens to be the one that I'm running at. Okay? You see that in state
The
Senate
important one.
22. Right. And even you can see that it needs to pick up 8% or 30,000 voters to pick up this seat. Or if they're not careful, they will lose the seat for state senate. Okay? So they can easily identify another 50,000 people which need to be registered in state senate 22 that will probably vote Democrat because they're illegal aliens. Got it? That's what they did. Okay, now I don't think the Chinese were necessarily concerned Senate 2022. I wish I was that important, but they can easily go to, when you watch on TV in presidential election and they show the little county by county votes roll through, right? So you can look at that and say,
Yep.
well, we need another 50,000 votes in a swing state. Do you see what I'm saying? To make sure that Trump loses those 6 electoral votes. Fair enough? And here's a list of the people you need to get. And by the way, here's another list of people that probably nod, nod, wink, wink. We want to make sure it happens to whatever. What I'm not saying the Chinese told the Democrats to grab their ballot, but it's sure to have it. Now, I'm going to really go on a conspiracy rant out there, and I hope the liberals are recording this. Do you really think the unions themselves, the SEIU, the people that we've seen with purple hair, okay, some of them, sorry, you're 4'2" tall, ranting and raving about the rent something ridiculous, are really confused how many votes in Los Angeles are needed to beat Spencer? Where do you think that brain came from in the long run? You get where I'm going with this, right?
Yep.
Are you saying they imported it from China?
I'm saying
The brain power?
at least the ability, not the brain power. But I mean, look, we set up dashboards. We do all kinds of neat stuff. Okay, Democrats are out running in the street with this, that, and the other. We run around with our signs. But conceptually, okay, where are they getting the data? How is the data being processed? I said this for quite a long time. How do they even know where to go to what house, what else to harvest? How are they finding these 10,000 homes? Well, it's being done by who exactly? Can you introduce me to that person, even the Democrat in Sacramento or in the Union? How are they doing it? Because I got to tell you, sorry, Republicans, we don't even have that many people on our side that know how to do it. And I doubt some of the people in the union know how to do it either, unless somebody is showing them how, supplying them with dashboards to do it. I'm not saying the Chinese did it, but once you have the data load we do, and a little bit, and Soros can supply all the money that he wants. But somebody has to get it where I'm going with this, Scott. Identify who are the people to target, where do you need more registrations. When you look registrations I'm giving you in California, they're raw numbers. And I can guarantee you to what you just said, of the 2.5 million, and we could continue to AI it until we're blue, of the 2.5 million, most going to be from the Los Angeles, Southern California area. In fact, gentlemen, talk for 1 second. I'm going to do a little bit deep research. God bless Al.
Al. But I think what's important is everyone should be able to agree that fair elections are the basis of the moral authority of the government. In addition to the Constitution and the Declaration.
Right. We can't have a for the government by the people for the people without accurate voting.
Well, and it undermines moral authority. If they're cheating and elections aren't fair, then the legislators that are elected and the executives elected are illegitimate. The judges they appoint are illegitimate, and there's no moral authority for the law. Then it's just about what you can get away with.
Right. And as a result of all the cheating and everything else and the confidence in our institutions, as that degrades, people are going to cheat more. They're going to go outside those institutions. They're not going to pay taxes. They're not going to voluntarily report their income.
Well, and then because they don't have a fear of the electorate, they do extreme things like passing the sales tax bill to allow localities to increase the sales tax up to 11%. Like the bill that's going through that would require you to register your appliances so they can notify your local permit department and make sure you get a permit when you buy that appliance.
Yeah, or
hide that they're putting a dress on your son at school. That's what happens when you cheat in elections. You get extremism in government.
Hold on.
Well, like I said, you're going to get to the point where people are not going to want to participate in government, and they're just going to.
Hold on. There are people.
Citizens are not going to comply with the law.
Hold on. The legit people won't. Now, this is where again I want to understand why that movie, whatever it was, 10 mules, 20,000 mules, a mule and a donkey off in the wind, what it was called. Okay, let's be clear on something here. And Al told me this. Now, Al, and I'm calling AI Al for everybody out there going, how's this guy Al? Is he seeing people? Well, I do, but we don't talk about that. Once you elect me, I'll tell you about all the people I've seen. Okay? But let's hold on for 1 second. So, you're interesting. Ready? We've had an increase of, what did I say, 2 to 2.5 million in voters the last 6 years in the state of California. Fair enough?
Okay.
Now, in the last 6 years, roughly mid-20 to 2026, we've had a net increase of registered voters. They aren't quite sure, of 70 to 300,000 people. That's 70,000 to 300,000. Now, I want you to think about that. Los Angeles County. Now, let's go with the 300,000 real time here. About 1.5% growth, which doesn't sound like a lot. But there have not been 300,000 people that have moved into Los Angeles the last 6 years. So when we talk 2.5 million, am I starting to paint a clear enough picture, or am I getting too complicated?
Well, unless we're talking about illegal aliens.
That's my point. We're the highest concentration of illegal aliens in Los Angeles County, and wait, there's more. If you want to swing statewide elections, you need to swing Los Angeles, right? Who cares?
Right,
Sorry
large
about some
numbers.
of you. God bless Butte, but at the end of the friggin' day, if 100% of Butte votes for Steve Hilton, it's a tough row. Okay? Now, so think about this. Number of registered voters has grown 9 to 10% in Los Angeles County the last 6 years, while the population of Los Angeles County has not grown. And in fact, not only has it not grown, but it's grown mainly by people who not be in this country. It's not, it's the voter registrations, okay? Now, Trump doesn't focus necessarily because in California, it's just a matter if Trump got his posterior kicked by X or whatever. But the reality is, okay, I mean, now on here, snapshot numbers, these numbers are in plain sight. The report of registration comes out every 60 days, but we're not paying attention to it. And when we talk about the Chinese hacking the voter rolls, Kurt, what's the DOJ trying to get a hold of?
Voter
The
registration
voter,
rolls.
The
the
rolls.
voter rolls.
Right? So the Chinese got the voter. We're sitting there with our votes being changed in a Dominion mission. I'm more worried about the people that are on the ball field are the wrong people. So think what Trump really said tonight is this. And again, he's got to give at least a half hour speech. He's president of the United States. Let's sum up what I heard. Okay? The DOJ has asked California, for example, for their voter rolls. California said, screw you, we're not going to give them. However, 5 years ago, the Chinese somehow magically got full access to them and that data. If you think the Chinese simply said, oh, this is very good looking, I'm glad we got the voter rolls, frame this on the wall so we can look at it. What the hell do you think they did with it, guys? You think they went in and got the data simply to assemble it like baseball, like we say when Hannes Wagner bat in 1911? No, they got to do with them. What do you think they did with them? Back to you, John.
You have the big thumb on the scale because they cheated and put fraudulent votes in the system. Why else would they do it? You know, the whole China thing, I'm going to be interested to see what his declassified document dump looks like and what kind of evidence they have regarding the Chinese influence. I would love to know whether or not, you know, for example, the California has had more influence by the Chinese than other states or not. I mean, if you're going to influence the presidential election, you don't go for California, you go for the 6 swing states,
Here's what
right?
Trump is doing, though, for everybody out there. I cannot stress this enough. He's equipping us with tools which traditionally depend on the mainstream to interpretate those data and tools. Make sense? So everybody out there, don't bother to read the Washington Post or watch NBC to see what's released. Go at it for yourself. A math student, if you will, to look at this. I mean, I cannot stress enough that again, it's pretty out there in plain sight. But what we tend to do is what the press said tonight. Trump recycling the blame. Look, guys, the numbers I just gave you alleged, and nobody can really explain them. They make no sense when you look at them from the prima facie 30 point of view. They're the registration numbers that are in plain sight in California. Their website. They even publish them year by year for you. In the meantime, I'm going to give you another conspiracy theory of mine. You guys ready? That much of the talk about
By
the
the way,
Dominion
it's
machine.
confirmed that,
Go
as I say, it's confirmed ABC, CBS, and NBC did not carry his speech tonight,
Oh, what a shocker.
as it was a speech by the president to the American people, and they thought it was not newsworthy enough to carry.
Well, what's interesting about that is that they will be forced to carry it when he goes after their FCC licenses, thus creating more awareness of the issue. Because then you'll see this is why.
Yeah, makes sense to me. And he talked about that, how they were occupying valuable broadcast space over the air.
Let me
Okay. What other
Let me
things do
finish
you
my-
want to cover?
I really want to we've been on for an hour tonight with Trump, but I want to finish my last rant for everybody to take care of here. Take heed of. Because I get them every feed, right? What about the machines? What about this? What about that? It is my humble opinion, little patriots out there, that a lot of these things, you know, who plants the stories that are the right theories? The left. Huh? Yep, indeed. Because the left knows that we will chase those objects instead of what lies in plain sight. Fair enough? And so, for you out there, and God bless you all, where you see many of these things every day, you spend time on, you send me YouTube videos, you send me Breitbart, you send me this, you send me that, and God bless you. Some of it is true, but much of it is a decision from the basic 101. It's the registrations. And the old saying framed a million different ways, okay? You sometimes don't see what's right in front of your face, and sometimes you don't see what's right in front of your face. They don't want you, they being the people that you think are on our side, because they're fed information by stories planted by the left. Clean up the registrations, we'll have better elections. Here's what I can add to this, except my state Senate 22, it's going to be hard for me to win the registrations that are in there. We don't clean up the registrations. And I'm going to stop right there, because that's really, I think, the most vital thing.
Okay, so Mike, what's your solution to cleaning up the registrations?
My biggest solution is when you do a registration, that's where you show ID and proof of citizenship. And by the way, you're supposed to, and Rob Bonta lies and says you do. Right there. And that's a real important question, because to clean them up, we've covered this before. You have to show proof of citizenship, online registration, without showing any identification or citizenship. You don't think that leads to fraud? That's equivalent to a 15-year-old into a help yourself liquor store with an electronic check, make you say, hey, you will show ID, of course, on the way out. How do you think that's going to work out?
I think we know the answer, don't we?
Yes, we
You
do.
never know
That's
with the
the
Newsom
first-
administration.
That's the first thing I would do to fix it. And we've gone over these things before. Okay, mandatory and online registration. If you register at the DMV, make sure you have to show proof of citizenship. Make those fields mandatory so you at least could be arrested for lying on an affidavit. It's just following the current law. Follow the law. Bonta lies to the public and says, oh, why do we need voter ID? Because you show your proof of citizenship at registration. No, you go online and try it for yourself. And this is the thing, Kurt. It's not complicated, dude. We've been having clean long before this came along. It's not complicated.
So
you
it's
would think.
intentional. It's intentional.
And I will put a plug in for Mike's Senate campaign. We have to stop things like the Nick Shirley Act. The Nick Shirley Act was done by a supermajority. It was an immediate law that went into effect to try and put people like Nick Shirley in jail for discovering fraud.
Has there already been a lawsuit about that?
I don't know, but if Mike
No,
were in the Senate, if we had enough people in the Senate to stop it, then they wouldn't have the 2/3. They could not implement it as an urgency law. It would have to go through the normal process, and they could still do it, but it would go into effect in January of next year.
Whoa.
Go ahead, Mike.
Scott, let me interrupt this plug for a brief announcement. You wouldn't have to sue for it. You wouldn't have to stop it because you know who the bill is. Susan Rubio. Yes, you can look it up. Susan Rubio.
I wonder what she's covering up.
Well, that's too good a line, having seen Susan Rubio, but let down. She's covering up the fact that she's corrupt because she has her own defense fund right now. But here's the thing, everybody. Corrupt politicians are covering their tracks, and they're covering their tracks by making sure, one, by passing bad acts, and second off, by making sure that people that shouldn't be voting vote. Then you don't have one person, one vote, because then your vote is diluted. It's really that simple. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I would agree. So anyway, the point is get your butt out of your chair and go vote for Mike this November. And don't sit there and go and vote just for the governor's race and then go, I don't know anybody else, and I'm not going to vote for anybody else. Vote for everyone on the stupid ballot. Do your citizen duty and figure out which candidates are the good guys and which ones aren't. Republican Party versus Democrat Party will help you, but you really should do some research. Go on websites, figure it out. Vote for Mike. I like Mike.
Oh, you got a button and a bumper sticker. I like Mike. There you go.
Netter for a
We
better
can do it.
California.
We can do it.
Easy to pronounce, hard to forget. It's really simple. Everybody, it's a balance in the state when you correct voters. It's pretty damn simple. Gentlemen, I'm not sure
go
there's
to
any other
netter.vote.
Right, netter.vote. That's the punctuation, not the word, for those of you who have to go in. Okay, I want you to go to netter.vote. I want you to go to Netter News. Like I said, too loud to be ignored all the time for both and everything you see. Okay, it's very, 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 very simple. They depend on you to ignore us, and they depend on you to be a quote moving towards something which is irrelevant to which is really a simple concept. Remember, the country was formed prior to computers and complexities. It's really pretty simple. Our republic is an outgrowth of democracy when people that should be vote. Gentlemen, I'm going to leave you with that tonight because I don't think any others really quote trumps what Trump just said when you dig into it.
Well, it'll be very interesting to see how the liberals try to spin the disclosures that are being made in those 5 categories.
Yep.
I kind of wonder if Newsom's going to be so busy defending his own legal troubles, criminal problems, that he won't be able to spend very much time managing the cheat this year.
Hold
November.
on. He won't.
And
Trump,
be able to beat the cheat.
Newsom is is announcing he's being investigated because, again, that's what the press will report. By the time they get around to indicting, the election will be long past. Let's be clear again, everybody. It's
But the
on you.
2028 presidential race will not be passed.
No, but we would like the effect on the midterms. And I, by the way, I got it wrong. The two parts of the SAVE Act that they're trying to run through with a continuing resolution or whatever they call it, so they don't have to do the filibuster in the Senate. One of them is voter ID, which is fantastic in and of itself. And the other thing is they have to prove that they are citizens, some sort of proof of citizenship. The absentee voters being accepted after Labor Day because of the court cases, that's not likely to be part of this and be determined. It's part of the SAVE Act, but it's not one of the two items that are going to be continued through the continuing resolution process.
What's what you call a good start?
Yeah, I mean, voter ID by itself would be great. I mean, can you imagine California sitting there saying, okay, we'll have voter ID for the federal elections, but come over here and wait in this line again. And this is a state election, and we won't be asking you for your ID. Really? I mean, what are you going to do? Have them go out to a different building, stand in a different line, wait behind a different desk, just so they get a separate state ballot? I think most people sit there and say, well, I'm voting for my representatives, and then I'm out of here. I'm not paying attention to that crap. The state can go to where. It'll be interesting. Well, what are your odds? Tell me. We're not putting the playmakers on here, but tell me, what are the odds that Newsom is going to get indicted before November? I mean, he's not on the ballot, so it's not going to affect that. But
20%.
You think what? 40%?
Yeah, here's what's funny.
Okay.
Jumping back to another subject I'm asking our buddy Al about. The last 6 years, the non-citizen population in California has grown by 200 to 400,000 people. Even though the population has declined in the state.
Well, they're driving the citizens out.
No, you're missing my point. Registration grows,
Which is?
population drops, non-citizens grow in California. Who are the people being effing registered? They're in plain sight,
Yes.
everybody. For those of you that know me,
That's along with their commercial driver's license.
Yeah, one of the reasons I'm qualified to be a state senator is I'm an idiot. And so if I can figure this out from looking at AI or the rest of it, don't think they don't know it either, and you can look it up yourself. Stop being distracted by what the press tells you. Looking up yourself, I'm put this together into a post. And by the way, that post won't get a lot of things. It's facts, not dramatically written. I'll put a cute little graphic below it. It's pretty simple, in plain sight. Gentlemen, this has been a different type show, and eventually I want to leave you with that. Leave it on for an hour and 20 minutes. Actually, over that.
All right, you want to hit some other news items, Kurt?
Well, let's take a look at what's been going on. It's been an interesting time, as you know. One of the things that's the most frustrating, Scott and Mike, we talked about Newsom's criminal investigations. Mike did a good job. But now the limousine liberal Ro Khanna, who's in Congress, who has presidential aspirations, is supporting the confiscation of wealth, the so-called billionaire tax of 5% of their assets, which is unconstitutional in my view. But what's wrong with one of the things that's very evil about that initiative is it lets the state lower the $1 billion threshold. And Ro Khanna says the wealth tax must not stop with billionaires. Folks, he's coming after your money too. but he's a typical limousine liberal. He's got his wife's money, but he doesn't want anybody else to get wealthy like he is.
Dang it. All I had to do is marry rich and I could have done it. Man,
You
I missed
screwed
that
up,
boat.
Scott. See?
Married for love. What was wrong with me? So, yes, limousine
You
liberal.
didn't
And
have
he
a
was one
rich
of the guys
person
first
fall
in
in love
wow.
with you.
Yeah, that's true. So the main candidate, Graham Plattner, who is the Nazi misogynist women beater and abuser, finally dropped out. And Ro Khanna was one of the lead guys endorsing him. He's trying to outflank all of his buddies to the left because he thinks he's presidential material. And like you say, I guess low IQ is not a prerequisite, or maybe it is a prerequisite for being a congressman as well, or at least a Democratic congressman.
Well, you guys talked about Nick Shirley earlier, and Nick Shirley talked a lot this week about the fraud entrepreneurship that's running rampant in California. That's why the Democrats are so interested in bullying and intimidating journalists and people who expose their fraudulent schemes.
Right. And they think they can take someone like Nick Shirley, who may not have a lot of resources to defend himself in court, and he's going to change the way that he does his reporting because of the stupid anti-constitutional laws that Newsom and the Democrats are passing.
Let's
Well, they
not,
don't want
let's
to
not
just
make
commit fraud.
this.
They want.
Are you going to talk, or are you just going to wave your hand?
Yes. Let's not make this big as a bunch of people. Scott Wiener and Susan Rubio, along with one other Democratic person, passed this. It's the Democrats. It's the four people that pass these kind of laws. Okay, that's your machine. Again, we talk big numbers. You can get rid of this schmuck stuff by what's the magic figure? It's 11. We need 4 Senate seats, 7 Assembly seats to reverse this trend in California. So we could talk big numbers, we could talk this, that, and the other. We only need 11. We have 11 seats that we need up against probably 5 million illegal voters. I'm doing some rough math right now. And I'm going to keep screaming that until those prices behind Scott drop below $3 a gallon. Gentlemen, cover got here.
By the way, Steve Hilton came out with a program to reduce gas prices the day he gets elected. Right now, our gas taxes are at 63.4 cents. They went up again July 1st, so a couple of weeks ago, in spite of the fact that we have the highest taxes in the country. And everybody asked the government and Newsom to postpone the increase. It didn't happen. We have exorbitant, what they call cap and trade fees. So all of these refineries that emit carbon, in what they call carbon, into the atmosphere, they have to pay a penalty for that. And then, of course, that gets passed on to us. And they use that money to fund things like the high-speed rail, which is also a big wart on our back. So the hidden tax is not called a tax, but they're paying these exorbitant cap and trade fees that some people estimate are almost 25% of the full cost of a gallon of gas, which would, depends on what your gas prices are, but we're talking in the upper dollar area. More than 25% of the California's refinery capacity is going out of state. And that means you're going to end up with less ability to make gasoline from oil. And you're going to have to use offshore refineries and then bring ships in, which increases the carbon footprint, which increases, anytime you're moving gas around in a truck or a boat rather than a pipeline, you're emitting carbon into the atmosphere. But these idiots don't care because they didn't have to refine it here. So these prices behind me are not out of line. They're going to get worse. And it's all because of Democrat policies. And Steve Hilton has said he would eliminate these immediately walking in the door, and he wants to bring our gas down to the $3 a gallon range, like it is in the entire rest of the country. So vote Hilton.
Yep.
So you saw we had our another Newsom wonder bill.
By the way,
he
hold on.
gave
We forgot to mention something tonight. Everybody, it really helps if you just make a comment or X feed, reply, like, do something. That will help spread our message around with the algorithms. Scott and I were doing so tonight. I was trying to pay attention. And what you got to do on Facebook and X is just reply, do something, say something. We see the chats. God bless you people that are there, but we need a lot more of you. Just mark with a thumbs up, a reply, or a like. It will help feed the beast to spread the word. We're not making money on this.
And-
We're feeding the beast and spreading the word.
And depending on what platform you are, subscribe, follow, and like. Okay, I'm going back to our beautiful 21-year-old trucker from India that killed 3 people, and he got off with a slap on the wrist. License, of course, issued by Newsom, his DMV, and we had 8 vehicles involved in that accident. 3 people died, and this guy walks with about a 4-year sentence. Thank you, Gavin Newsom.
They had the little girl who was damaged in one of these things on one of the cable shows last night. And like she had to have a piece of her skull replaced and her body's rejecting it. So she has to put a fake piece in. She's had multiple surgeries. This is outrageous. The Democrats are supporting this kind of brutalization of Americans.
So I've got a question for you. I'm being pro property rights. Here's a question for you. A lot of people are clamoring because you have areas like Dearbornistan and now Texas. You've got Muslims pouring into Texas and taking over some small towns. And one of the things that are being suggested is that when these people come to build a mosque and they have to go before the zoning board, or in California it's called a planning commission, and they ask for approval. Now, they bought the property. Let's say they got it in a U.S. corporation name. It might be all funded by Qatar or Saudi Arabia or whoever, foreign money, but it's owned by a U.S. corporation. And they come in and ask for permission, and they comply with all the zoning requirements. If you were a planning commissioner, would you vote to approve it or not?
No, and I will tell you why.
Okay.
We need to ban Islam from our country. Islam is a political system that has a religion as a tactic of the political system. In Islam, it is okay to lie, cheat, and steal to non-Muslims. They hate us. They want to commit violence against us. It is in the Quran. Like communists, we must ban them. We must ban immigration from Muslim countries, and we cannot allow them to be in our country or to push Sharia law. Sharia law is incompatible with our Constitution. It's incompatible with us being a Christian nation. It's incompatible with modern civilization. So no, we get to decide who we want in our country, and we don't want them.
Yeah, but let's say they decided, we don't want Italians. We don't want Irish. We don't want Germans.
None of them have Sharia law that's incompatible with our Constitution. None of them want to kill us because we are infidels. We are not them.
So if someone comes in and they're Muslim, and maybe they practice their own little quiet Muslim faith, but what you're saying is we're not going to do anything that's going to allow the faith of Islam to propagate. We don't allow mosques.
Because under Sharia law, they're going to close our churches, and they want to tax us for not being Muslims. You are importing a civil war if you get enough of them in here. You will cause a civil war, and it will be the fault of everyone who lets it happen.
The Quran is clear. They want to. It's okay to murder. It's okay to rape. It's okay to be dishonest and deceive anybody that's not Muslim, what they call infidels.
That's everybody listening probably today.
That we're all infidels?
Yep.
All right. Anything else we need to talk about before next week, Kurt?
Well, let's see. One thing that made me really angry is the big government. We heard about we talked about tax, about the sales tax thing. They want to let you increase sales tax up to 11%. And they have a digital products tax now in California, where all of your streaming, all of your monthly digital purchases are going to be subject to Sacramento's taxation. Scott?
What? You mean my cable service is going to be taxed more than it already is? Or if I buy
more like
software?
your software purchases, etc. Anything.
So
where you
I buy QuickBooks on Amazon, and they're going to tax me in addition to sales tax.
Yeah. So they want to raise
buy-
your taxes. Then they want to micromanage your appliances, Scott. The California Energy Commission is going to vote on mandatory appliance registration. So before you can buy a gas appliance, an air conditioner, a heater, you got to fill out paperwork, government paperwork, showing where the unit will be installed so they can notify the local building inspector and make sure you pay for that permit. Another tax.
All right. Moron alert. Oh, wait, we're talking about news. Yeah, moron alert. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us in this kind of a weird and different show. We enjoyed watching Trump. We enjoyed commenting on Trump. We don't have, since we concentrate mostly on California, we don't often bring in national politics. But as you heard from Trump tonight, probably 60+% of his speech tonight dealt with voter fraud, which is very, very, very much California centric. In fact, if you want to brag, California is leading the states on voter fraud. We know how to manufacture illegal votes, and we do it well.
Yep.
And of course, it's not illegal because we've changed all the laws to allow things like ballot harvesting and no chain of control over a ballot once they're done. And we mail ballots to everybody, whether they're dead or alive. So, anything else to say, guys, before we sign off?
Nope.
We got a great
We'll see you
250th.
next week. God bless the USA. God bless Trump.
We'll see our normal time, 6:30. Enjoy the song.
They said trust the experts while they locked up the town. Gave us 12 more genders. Took our paychecks down. Flag on the porch. They call you extreme while they cast